Hello, Internet, and welcome to Ship of the Week, a show where I take your suggestions and try to build them in under an hour. I'll take viewer ideas for ships, vehicles, or other machines, and when the timer starts, I have just 1 hour to design and build something that fits whatever specifications are set out for me. If I can't finish or the ship doesn't work as intended, it gets scuttled. Ships that do work will be published to the workshop for all to enjoy. Time to hop in and find out what we'll be doing this week in Ship of the Week. This week we're going to be doing an ice harvesting machine, sort of akin to an sort of combine harvester that you'd see in like a field. So the essential idea, it's going to be a wheeled rover-based vehicle. It is designed to drive along the ice, drilling sort of a trench of ice down the middle of its two wheels, taking that and chucking it out the side to an awaiting ice-carrying vehicle that I don't have, so we'll just assume one will be there, but that's the idea. So, something that can drill out ice and chuck it out so that something else can take it back to the base, and potentially have some ability to carry some of its own, but that may just be a happy accident. Down to the planet we go. Okay, here we are on Earth. Lovely ice lake. Got the little drop pod here. I think what I may do, just to make life easier, so I'll just kind of build off. I'll just build off the pod like that. It's kind of right there. It means it's close. Should work all right. So, we've got 1 hour on the clock. Let's get going. Okay. So, general idea for this. I'm going to want batteries. I'm going to want wheels. I'm going to want some of those. I'm going to want conveyors. I think I'm going to want a piston in addition to a drill.
Fuel low.
I may want fuel, but I don't think I need it.
Fuel critical.
Need a cockpit. And maybe we'll go from there. So, oh, no, that's something I need. Cargo. Because even though the main idea is to dump everything out to a waiting vehicle, it's probably going to be important to have some sort of cargo storage because there'll be times when there isn't a vehicle and I don't want to be just dumping the ice. So, this will give it some versatility in that regard. Should make things alright. I think I may do just kind of maybe 3 of them along there. Like so. I want the base of this fairly wide and fairly heavy. So maybe that would make it wide for sure. Maybe I just do there, so 2 batteries, kind of at the back. I think I'm going to want to use one of these at the front, just to kind of cap it off, and this gives me a lot of sort of connection options to go with. Then what I can do is kind of slide that out there, put one here, and these will be for the wheels. So I'll have 6 wheels in total, spaced kind of 3 blocks apart. That should give it plenty of driving power, a nice wide wheelbase, and enough weight kind of low to keep everything balanced. I'm thinking if I put a drill like here, I can have a pipe there, so it's piped into the system. I can raise it up. Now I should be able to stick the drill right off it. I mean, 3 drills would look more the part. That's for sure. My issue is... I feel like with 3 drills, the drills would be too... The actual hole they drill will be too wide and it'll cause issues with the wheels. So I think we'll just have 1 drill. Could maybe do something to decorate it a bit. That should hopefully the hole for this will be kind of within the wheelbase so that I can just drive in a straight line. Maybe if I adjust this, I can bring it down a little bit.
Fuel critical.
So the idea here, this piston will, I'll retract it to drop the drill down into the ice. So when it's up, I want it to be up for traveling, but it doesn't need to be quite that up. Bring it down till it's about level. That may actually be a little under level, but that's fine. So that was... It's currently at 1.45 meters. So if I hop in here... I'm doing it this... not drill. Doing it this way because Build Vision doesn't let you... Actually, I think you can type in Build Vision, but... Yeah, I'm not doing that. So... Doing this so I can type it in. So maybe like 1.5 meters will be a good height. Yeah. That's pretty good. So that's where it is at its lowest. Which... We may set this a bit later. I think that high... I think that's deep enough that it can... I think it'll still be digging in front of itself at that depth. And it would probably be good to get as deep as possible. So I think that'll work. Guess the next step... Cockpit. Kind of want to use this just because it feels right. Okay. Will this cause clang? It kind of did a little jig. I mean, visually there's a gap, so I think it would be fine. It's also really high, though. Like almost silly high.
Fuel critical.
What if I move it back a block? So it has to go back like 2 blocks. To there. I mean, that's not a bad height. And if we kind of brace it and, you know, build everything else up to where that looks reasonable, I think that could work. Yeah. And even when the thing's up, you can still kind of see pretty reasonably. If we let it down, you can still just see it, but you can look down and see down below you. You can just... Yeah, this is perfect. I think that's functionally good. Does this... No. So the only ports are on the top and 2 on the back. I don't technically need the cockpit hooked up to anything, but it would probably be kind of nice. I could maybe throw an O2H2 generator on here. I mean, it'll be filling itself with ice anyway, so it might as well. Oh, in fact, If I stick it under there, so it's sort of... Ah, the corners even line up. That's almost perfect. Could, if I wanted, do kind of a brace there just so it looks supported. Lines up with the window nicely. It's not like you can really see down there anyway, but...
Fuel critical.
Yeah, I think that works. So if I want to run a pipe off here... Maybe how I do it... Oh, it would have been real convenient if I could have used one of these on this to kind of make it right. I could have maybe used an O2H2 gen right here and pushed the wheels forward. Would that be smarter? It would make the whole thing longer by a block, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It would mean that all the ice goes straight to the O2H2 generator first, which seems kind of silly. Maybe we'll leave it like it is for now and see what happens. I think part of what would help me is to have kind of this stuff, to have the base kind of done. I want to know kind of the width I'm working with. I feel like it would look more like a combine harvester. Maybe I get rid of these wheels. I'll leave these two. And replace these with big uns. Yeah, that's almost at the same height. I can probably adjust them a bit. I don't know if this is any sort of useful, but I think it'll help look the part, and that's the important thing. I'm again not 100% sure of the value of this, but it's compelling. It's a little bit longer of a wheelbase. I can maybe make it rear wheel steering, which is always fun. Yeah, I think that could work. I'm kind of getting into the greebling side of things now, but I mean, I feel like it's
Fuel
a
critical.
good time. Technically, I think this would probably do what I need it to do mostly. I just don't have an ejection method. And I feel like it would be better to have a basic body shape before I get there, so I have a sense of how to integrate it well. Kind of pudgy body. I may work this back shape down a little bit, but that can come later. I think what I'm gonna try here yeah, and actually I can do it with these. Maybe just down to here. So I kind of want to cover up this little V gap because it looks a little silly. Granted, it is a good access point to the O2H2 generator, but I don't know. It feels like this cab should be, because I've got it supported at the bottom, it doesn't make a lot of sense for there to just be a little triangle of air. Though I don't know. Maybe we'll test it out. But I do want to do that, because then I can pipe up the cockpit, and then here, I'll need some more bits, but this can be the ejection system. So I can have it run off that pipe there, and it'll come off this piston that kind of helps get it out fairly far. And I can have one of those one of those, and it'll just eject everything out. Now, usually you'd put like a sorter on before an ejector, and you could do that here, but I don't think it's really necessary because I don't really want anything to stay in here. I'm not, sorting stuff to get rid of it. This is to transfer it to another thing. So, let's see. Negative should be to the left as you see it on the screen because of the these two little marks indicate negative. So we'll go ahead and maybe just do that through a different thing where I can have more control, because yeah, the slider's a little hard to do. But
Fuel critical.
yeah, so I can move that out into position. It's just outside of the wheel well. Kind of like it to be a little bit further than that. Guess I could just do a second piston. That would get it nice and far. My other option is to do piping, but piping of course doesn't compress. I think I'm going to need more than 2 pipes. I mean, normally these things are kind of close together, but yeah, that would be, if I want it any further away than that, the piston's the best option. I can always set it not to go the full distance. That's still a little cozy, especially considering how much of a pain it can be to get wheels underneath a vehicle and still make it useful. Yeah, that's not too far. If I'm maybe in here, we'll throw a timer block, not because I need to time anything, but nope, not why. Oh, right, timer's on that. Maybe we'll do that. I guess this is done enough. I could take it off and work on it as is. It's got power and everything. Sure. I'll have to do some wheel adjusting, I think, but that's fairly fine. Timer block. It'll just be called timer block. Basically, it's there. Oh, crap, I need to name these pistons. Or name this piston. Timer block. It is set up to reverse that piston. Reverse that piston. Reverse that hinge. I guess I could have a setting to have those lock, but I don't think it's all that necessary. So, if I hit trigger now, everything comes back into position. So, quick and easy to stow. I can have that just be one button press in my cockpit. I can have a separate one for actually throwing stuff out. That should work pretty well. Let's work on this back end real quick. It's, stumpy. A little bit. Oh, I forgot. One last thing I want to do back here, just for, charging and if it decides to carry any ice back. Handy to have a connector back here. Put some sort of situation lights or tail lights, maybe only one of them. A little doofy looking, but I don't think it looks bad. I think it could look worse, maybe we'll say. let's go ahead. I need to do some wheel adjusting. Maybe set up some controls. But I want to paint it. And I'm thinking a nondescript, definitely referential to anyone else green. So that's way too light. Yeah, there we go. Actually, maybe I'll change a few things. So, for this, it actually might be a good idea. Yeah, I'll have to use one of those. These on each side. But having 3 of them should allow me to output stuff quicker and hopefully output about as quickly as the drill inputs. Because otherwise I may run into the issue of the drill essentially filling up as I go, not being able to... I'd have to stop and continue unloading in order to get the drill emptied. So hopefully this will help alleviate that a little bit. Ooh. Perfect spot for... A spotlight could work there, but... Spinning light. Just to caution you that there is mining activity occurring. Yellow accent might be a little too much color. Let's go white accent. Yeah. This is looking like a tractor company that I won't name. Yeah, I think that works. There's a bit of color to it. Bit going on. I think it looks smart. And last thing, I talked about trying to do some sort of something with this drill. And honestly, as much as my sort of thought was to do, you know, have like bars coming, not like that, but kind of bars coming down on each side and have a sort of, almost like a little cage thing around it, which I think could be cool. But I'd want it to be kind of roughly at the height of the drill, I think. And that will impede with the drilling. So, if I reverse it, yeah, it'll just lift the vehicle up. Maybe if I did something kind of at this height, like coming off there. Well, that's a pain. So, on this side, I can use those sort of slates to make something, and it all lines up. Doesn't work on this side. There's not an alternative. I could try and put them on the inside, but that's not going to work up here because I don't have a way to attach one. That's a bummer. Yeah, that's a little something. A sort of, I guess, safety grating around. Maybe what I could do is just... Yeah, it doesn't really... None of that gets the danger striping. That's a bummer. Okay. Well, let's do some control and wheel settings real quick. So, it does make it easy to know which is which. So the 5x5s Their height offset needs to be that. And I'm thinking 8% strength. Yeah. And the 3x3s. We'll have them be at maybe 4%. Maybe they stay at 6. Because that back is going to get heavier as ice is drilled. Yeah. It should all be fairly stable. And it's just getting dark. Just in time to see that my headlights are in a horrible position. Well, at least I'll know where the drill is. I think I want to up my wheel friction a bit. A lot of bit. Maybe drop the speed limit right on down. This thing should be slow. Oh boy. It definitely turns. As you can see here, let me bring the day back in. So, lights are all lighty. Wheels, I have rear wheel steering. Not a whole bunch of power. Does flop a bit, but... So I only have the front wheels propelling. So it's front wheel drive, rear wheel steering, which I'm sure will go great. Have the drill and drill piston. Let's go ahead and set up our hotbar. So over here we'll put on lights. I want my timer block. Well, so I should have, first off, drill on off, then a drill piston, maybe just a reverse. Because in theory, when I'm drilling, I want it to be at drill depth. So we'll have that in a reverse. Then we'll have our timer block that extends our ejectors, and we'll have our ejectors set up to throw out on-off. I'll have them on collect all already, because in theory they should always get first priority of whatever we get. Then cargo containers take up the rest of the slack. So we have that, we have lights. What I may do is actually have an adjustable speed limit. I'm gonna see, oh, that's increasing. Okay, so of course it goes up in 18 kilometers per hour increments, which is still way too fast. I mean, it's honestly not a bad driving speed for this thing. Feels pretty accurate. It's gonna be too fast to go through the ice. See, that's the pain, and I've talked about it, I may not have talked about it in this series, but in others I definitely have. It would be real nice if we could manually adjust the increments of these things. I wonder if that's controlled somewhere that could be easily modded. So my hope was that I could have it set up so that, you know, minimum I'm going like 1 meter per second, real darn slow. I guess it's a little janky, but when it's set to 0 meters per second, it sort of works. We'll leave it there anyway. Maybe useful. But yeah, so I guess let's do a quick just double check before time runs out. So we're digging our hole. I should probably adjust that piston. Yeah. So it'll drill in nice and slow. Ooh. Even with the very wide width, you can see we're just on the edge of the ice hole. I think we're quickly getting filled up with ice. Well, so that part seems to be working. Let's test that. That part's probably working. Yeah, and it would just be a matter of slowly going along and doing. I guess I should have saved that for the main thing, because now I'm pretty darn sure it's done. Oh, it's heavy. Alright, well, I think that's a pretty good time then. Go ahead and stop our clock at 7 minutes 19 seconds. Clamber over the wheel. And I guess do a proper test. So we will figure out how to do that and then do it. Okay. So we're here aboard the I guess we should give this a name. It's not the drop pod. What would be a good name for an ice harvesting machine? So this is a Mr. Icy, Combine Ice Harvester. It's what it'll be called forevermore. I guess to kick off the testing, it's chock full of ice right now, but that's probably fine. The first thing, we've got this little trench here, so let's see if it can navigate over it without issue. Yes, and it seems to have no problem. Obviously, we kind of proved that it can do the digging because it dug that trench when we were, before we even started our testing. Turn off the lights because it's the middle of the day. So yeah, that's all seems good. Just again, another proof. We'll send the drill down. Goes down nice and slow. We're already real full. Yeah. Can just kind of coast along. I may need to up the suspension height, but that could be something you'd do, you know, the owner would be expected to adjust to whatever their needs are. It does mean it gets more ice. You can see the sort of guard is above where any ground would be. Granted, there's hole all around the guard, so it isn't really that big of a thing. Pull it up. We're very, very low to the ground. So I guess step 2. Does it drive? Yes, and we can drive it in first person. Our rear wheel steering isn't causing an issue because it goes very slowly. You can see everything nice and good. I guess the benefit of rear wheel steering is it means we can, if you were doing, you know, doing rows and rows of ice harvesting, you could go and then cut a real tight corner. But we're going to test, so now in traditional practice, this would be a rolling endeavor, but obviously I'm one person and can't drive 2 things at once. So we're going to extend our thingy and see if we can't line it up and just make sure that were another vehicle beside us, it would have no issue with getting the ice from us into it. Try and line this up on the shadows here. See, normally this would be the job of the vehicle driver, and they'd probably have a vehicle that's better designed for it than this box I've built. But right. Those don't work without power. Okay, round 2. Haha! So yeah, you could just imagine something with, you know, a couple of those and then cargo around, driving alongside as you're going. You move really slowly, so it would be fairly easy for them to just kind of hold under you and gather the ice. How quick does that actually empty out? We've got a bit of it. So it looks like it does 0.2k each time. So about 200 blocks of ice. And that's 3 of them kind of in a little sequence. Which it's fun that it just sequences it. So it would take quite a bit if you let it get full. Open. That's now full as well. But it would work, and you could kind of, you know, as you're going real slow through the ice, gathering it, I think it would do well. Alright. Well, I think we can happily say that this vehicle is a success. So yeah, that's good. Oh, I thought we were out of ice for a second. We've had a success on a small grid vehicle. I think that's a first for this series. But now we're out of ice. Yeah, glad to see. So, the Mr. Icy will be up on the workshop for you to go and check out. So feel free to head on over there if you want to mess with it yourself. The downside, because it uses all these subgrids, it would not be printable as is if you wanted to print it into a survival world or build it from a blueprint. So you'd have to do some of the setting up again yourself, but you watched the video, you know how it's done. So yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out any of the other stuff I've done, and until next week, bye bye.